What is this? Ah, tight, yeah!
The headline change for top lane is that now you have a quest. Get enough points and you get increased XP, a free teleport, or a 30% max health shield on your existing teleport, and you can now level up to level 20. Free XP on the surface seems like a nerf to Thresh, since now the other top laners with actually good base stats per level get 2 more levels to benefit from, whereas Thresh has lackluster base AD and literally doesn't gain armor per level. Also, if it sounds like I'm sick, it's because I am. I got sick as soon as the new season started. Man, I heard League was toxic, but this is ridiculous! This is because he gets 1 armor per soul instead. Because now everyone is addicted to that turret crystal for more plating and tower first blood gold than previous seasons, split pushing is encouraged, which means more souls for the Thresh top as well. A change that might slip under the radar is that minion waves have changed as well. Minions will now spawn every 25 seconds after 14 minutes of game time, with 1 fewer melee minion on cannon waves, and every 20 seconds after 30 minutes of game time have passed, now also with 1 fewer caster minion. Even though it's 1 fewer minion with each spawn time change, it maths out to give more souls on average with the new, more frequent spawns, especially since the waves are coming more often after the 15 and 25 minute marks, when cannons will spawn every 2 waves and then in every wave, respectively. The cannon minions starting on the 3rd wave rather than the 4th also boost souls a slight bit as well. The question to ask then is, how does soul armor stack up to the average level 20 champion? I don't want to spend too much time on this in case any drastic changes happen over the next few patches, but for now, the games I've had where I've reached level 20 all gained more armor than the highest base armor champion, Sejuani, at 137.55 total base armor. My games were all wins, and the sample size is laughably small, but it is the start of the season. If you play in top lane, focus on farming, and even throw lanterns when there's groups of souls out of reach, I'm confident you'll also be able to exceed the base armor of people around you. Now, that's easier said than done. We can gather that pushing is good now, but Thresh's pushing is bad. That being said, as he always could do, he adapts. Moving us on to how we can build Thresh in 2026. Our last build of Titanic Hydra or Hollow Radiance together with Jackshow and Terminus will still serve you very well, and I explained it in detail in the previous Thresh top guide, linked below. Speaking of which, that guide will also teach you the general playstyle and goals of Thresh top if you need some guidance there, and if you want even more in-depth information, I have over-explaining guides on every Thresh ability. Towards the end of last season, I made a build that I thought was terrific for Thresh top.
Can't you stop?
Heartsteel is not a new item, but works really well with Thresh's infinite armor and works well into his trading patterns using Grasp of the Undying and his E passive. With them, you scale lots of health, which means you can more easily position for auto attacks and flays even in a heavy team fight. The longer you spend alive and the less people want to focus you, the more value you can weasel out of that soul on hit damage. Remember the plan diagram from last video? You're still able to play like a ranged Nasus with utility. On the topic of damage, Heartsteel provides a good chunk of burst scaling with your health, and this together with your E passive and box combo can 100-0 champions quite readily even if it feels like you're mostly building tank. Stacking this much health also works great with the empowered teleport you get from the quest, and its 30% maximum health shield you get when you use it. But we're missing something. This worked last season, but now, with more frequent minion waves, sooner spawning and more cannons, and of course, that blue, pink, whatever crystal growing on the turrets, Heartsteel isn't gonna cut it for wave clear. That's why Titanic First is still gonna be good. And though Tiamat is okay wave clear, I would suggest counterproductively buying the infinite scaling Heartsteel second, but only after buying Bami's Cinder. Bami's gives you some nice durability, some fight DPS for your top lane scraps, and more importantly, helps with wave clear just enough to defend or push turrets a bit easier to deny or press advantages you get. It can go into the brilliant Hollow Radiance, or if you really need the armor this game, it can go into Sunfire as well, either one working great with Heartsteel.
But Cryo! Where's the AD?
I hear you. A solid third item with this build is Overlord's Bloodmail. Together with all the health stacking, Bloodmail will provide upwards of 100 AD quite easily. And that's not even at low health. Going for Bloodmail instead of Riftmaker gives both more burst and sustained damage through the AD on auto attacks and the charged E passive, working beautifully with the Heartsteel burst. Whereas Riftmaker's AP value just doesn't feel nearly as good on its own. But it's still a good item for the damage amp and omnivamp. Of course, we can't not mention a new item, Protoplasm Harness, granting a lifeline passive but granting bonus health and healing over time. Kinda like an itemized Mundo rolls, even with the move speed, size, and some tenacity. A fun fact about this item is that Thresh should absolutely love it. Whereas those other champions are enjoying the extra 2 levels of base armor per level at level 20, Thresh and his soul armor all count as bonus. And this item's healing scales with 250% bonus armor. This is amazing value on Thresh, but don't let that distract you from the fact that grievous wounds still exist, and you should consider against Protoplasm if enemies already have it, or are likely to buy it if you already have strong healing champions on your team, like Briar, Rast, Soraka, etc. Despite this value, it's not a necessary purchase at all, especially if you're looking for more offensive edge. Terminus remains an amazing option for its hybrid penetration and defenses, and of course, Jackshow still turns you into an absolute unit. Rageblade, when your ADC is just kinda not there, is awesome with how many souls we get this season, but if the enemy top laner seems focused on teamfights, I wouldn't mind trying a Hullbreaker to smash those side lane crystals. The usual tech options are available, like Force of Nature against heavy sustained magic damage, Kainic Rukern aka Kuki Ruki against extreme magic burst damage, and Thornmail for its armor and grievous wounds, or the alternative Kempung Chainsword if you need a little more control over who your grievous wound goes to. With ADCs stronger than ever and their extra gold quest and buffed crits, Randuin's Omen is a very potent item in counteracting their critical strikes. For runes, I'd like to think you can decide for yourself what to get, but my recommendations are few but strong. Grasp of the Undying is excellent in laning phase and helps scale our heart seal while being great for our natural trading pattern in lane with the E passive damage. Demolish, though nerfed, is fantastic in our newly found turret taking tendencies for a champion who, by default, is pretty bad at damaging them. Bone Plating or Revitalize are both good depending on bursty or pokey lane matchups respectively, and Overgrowth further increases our massive health scaling. In your secondary runes, Presence of Mind keeps your mana pool healthy for reactive and now wave clearing plays in lane, and Alacrity is hard to compete with, especially with the increased soul gain. For summoners, I would like to take a moment to say that though stronger home guards means we can be a bit more aggressive with our recall timings, getting to lane faster and easier, having teleport from the start is still really strong if you can use it well. Losing fewer minions, being more aggressive with pushes after kills or enemy recalls, and therefore also accelerating the quest without needing to get a kill like if we took Ignite. The 30% max health buff from the quest on teleport is also really nice with the build, and moreover, Summoner Teleport has a much nicer cooldown than the 7-minute cooldown that the free teleport has. So just remember that it's a very good option even now. That being said, Ghost Ignite is a really good combo for excellent spacing, chasing, escaping, and killing. So many top laners have strong healing like Aatrox, Illaoi, and Zahen, and not having to put yourself 800 gold away from your core items with a Bramble Vest or an Executioner's Calling is really nice. Thresh lacks early game damage as well and relies on spacing and Flay to win trades, so the extra threat of Ignite is absolutely beloved. There are lots of matchups though, where killing the enemy shouldn't just be taken for granted. Of course, teleport is wonderful, but maybe the enemy still has the option to kill you. Exhaust is not bad at all, especially if your own support player has not taken it and the enemy has worrisome hypercarries. It can save you in close duels, ganks, and so on, but doesn't actually give you any damage like Ignite. So it may lead to more stalemates rather than kills when employed offensively. I rarely take Flash in top lane anymore since Ghost just covers more ground, has a lower cooldown, and is oddly more versatile, but taking Flash and Ghost really helps you be a playmaker. Flash on Thresh is amazing, and being able to reserve it for the best plays and using Ghost for quick chases and escapes instead can pay back immensely. But with all this being said, Ghost Teleport is probably my go-to for tryharding, with Ghost Ignite as a secondary option where I want to be a bit more aggressive. Like I said, the actual game plan is more or less the same as illustrated in my previous Thresh top guide, but now with more emphasis on farming side lanes, pressuring turrets, and defending your own. You should still definitely aim to teamfight, because with as much tankiness as you're building, you can just waltz in and control fights in ways support Threshers could only dream of. But even though opportunistic hooks and box combos can take out a carry swiftly, your best place is by your own carry with your phenomenal peeling ability. It's for this reason, if your carry and team are reliable and like attack speed, I'd highly recommend considering buying Bandle Pipes. The stats aren't bad at all for you, and attack speed on Thresh is always extremely welcome, especially with you getting more souls now. And granting extra attack speed on a decently tanky item to literally your whole team is insane value a lot of the time. It's probably worth it for just you and a good ADC, and definitely worth it if your jungler or other characters also like attack speed. I would get it roughly 4th item after Overlord's Bloodmail. While peeling, you're very free to control the battlefield with abilities, but if you're a bit too used to support habits, then it's worth saying you should spend a lot of time auto-attacking. The value of the soul on hit is too good right now to ignore, and you'll likely find yourself doing very good on the damage chart, even though you're building so tanky. Chances are even, you'll do more damage as a tank than you would on funny Storm Razor builds. Don't worry, that's coming. This enhanced, tanky, wave cleary build should do just the trick in 2026, at least this early in the season. Things are likely to change, so I don't really want to deal with specific numbers right now, and might update later. If you're attached to the Titanic Hydra build, remember, it's still really good and more aggressive than this one, but doesn't have quite as much weight to throw around in late game without the Heartsteel. But of course, knowing more about Thresh is key to playing him well, especially in not so well documented off meta. Which is why I have made all of these guides for this champion, from over-explaining each ability, to explaining in way too much detail how to land your Thresh hooks more often. I'll link them in the description and in the end screen if you want to see them. But now, I thank you very much for watching, and give a shout out and thanks to all of these members for supporting the channel and helping make these videos possible. Thank you to the members War Squid, Ultimate Ground, The Real Cryo's Dad, Gentleman Zeta, Lunar Eagle 1996, 53rd Alabama Booty Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mr. Noodle, Pike Onlyfans, Gilbert Morals, Tiaman Caranthil, Luxus, Dario Castro, Overseer, and Luca, Luna Arc, Cposh, KORG22, Torturo, Senya Scrim, Victor Katak, AJBeat91, Sir Gaming Brain SGB, Lexivix, Boomborn, Quasheen, Yokogonza, Logan James, Young06771, Gingerbread Dude 5298, Felix BE4FQ, Jump 006, Torgan, KORG223, Jacob Max 6308, Zanata Wright, and BBB Archmage. Thank you all very much for supporting the channel. And now, I have storms to raise.